She came around the corner, and then I saw her. She was walking with poise as always. Her steps were confident, and her dress complemented her perfect body. As I looked at her from the window, I couldn't help but envy her. Even in the dark, she looked amazing. The pale moon lit up her face and made her red hair sparkle like the sun. She paused for a second to find something in her purse. It looked like a lipstick. Not that she needed any. A loud roar came from the engine of a car as it took a hazardous turn around the corner. It came to a stop right in front of her, and the back door flung open. I was distracted for a split second when I heard Michael's voice from the bathroom. "Medea, have you seen Claudia? She should be here by now." "No, I haven't," I said, without thinking twice. As I looked back at the street outside, I saw two men coming out of the car. They ran over towards Claudia, who was still concentrating on putting on her makeup, and grabbed her from behind. For some reason, I thought back at everything that had happened the past months.
I first met my master 6 years, 4 months and 7 days ago. He was just standing there in the middle of a pile of bubble wrap, looking curious. As he helped me out of my box, I looked him in the eyes, and then I knew it. I was his and only his. He had bought me to help out with his business, but eventually I became so much more than that. We lived together, traveled together, and worked together. I was his personal robot, a Humacom X2000 state-of-the-art, a brand new humanoid robot. Because of new technology, I was able to feel emotions and to act independently, something that a robot had never been able to before. The only restriction I have is my security system. There are 3 rules that a robot must follow.
1. Robots must never harm human beings or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. 2. Robots must follow instructions from humans without violating rule number 1. 3. Robots must protect themselves without violating the other rules. If we, for some reason, break one of these rules, our so-called security system will kick in, and our systems will be shut down for good. That had never been a problem for me, though. My master was a young and successful businessman. He owned the largest investment firm in town, Michael Prosper Incorporated. I'd been there from the beginning, and I'd seen the company grow. When I first met him, he'd just graduated from college. The first couple of years, we lived together in a small flat, but now the business was going well, we'd moved to a large penthouse in a more posh part of the city. Not that any of those things mattered to me. Being with him was more than enough for me. As we became closer with each other, I began to feel things that might not be typical for my kind. I was in love with him.
We spent almost every single hour of the day together, both at work and at home. I could not live without him, as well as he could not live without me. We depended on each other. I knew that for sure. Women at work had often tried to make a pass on him, and I could not blame them. Michael could easily have been a model if he wanted to. He had clear green eyes and dark blonde hair. He always wore the finest suits, and he was the most articulate man I have ever met. But even though the women were attractive, he always made it clear that he was not interested in them. He would look at them with an apologetic look in his eyes and say, "Sorry, but I'm afraid that there is someone else." And when he said that, I would smile to myself because I was the only one who knew who he meant. Needless to say, he never expressed his feelings towards me, but I was completely sure that he felt them. He just didn't want to seem unprofessional, but eventually he'd be ready to declare his love.
Time passed by and our relationship grew stronger, until one day. Michael came home after a long day at work and laid down on the couch. I was in the kitchen, preparing his favorite dinner. "Oh, by the way, I won't be eating home tonight. I'm leaving in 20 minutes, he said from the living room. How exciting! Michael rarely took me out, mostly because he was a very private person who liked to eat at home. I wonder what the occasion could possibly be. Was tonight the night? Okay, sir, I'll put the food away and I'll go charge my batteries instead, I answered with a smile. Oh, don't worry, Medea. You won't be needed tonight, he said bluntly. If I had had a heart, it would surely have skipped a beat. In the 6 years that I've known him, he'd never gone out to dinner without me. He always brought me with him for business dinners. But are you sure that you won't need my help? Oh, don't worry, Medea, he laughed. I should be able to take care of this myself. My date will be here in a minute or two. It felt as if my heart fell to the floor. The doorbell rang loudly. Would you please let Claudia in? Michael asked. My feet felt heavy as stone as I walked into the hallway. I opened up the door, and the sight that met me made my heart fall even deeper. The woman that stood in front of me was a true beauty. She was tall and slender and had sparkling red hair. Her skin was picture perfect, and her cheeks had a faint rosy flush to it. She was so unlike me. From a distance, I looked like a human, but if you come closer, it becomes clear that my skin is nothing but plastic. My skin and my hair is dull, and there's no spark in my eyes. Hello, my name is Claudia. Take my coat, robot. She handed me her expensive-looking coat and continued to walk into the apartment without waiting for me. I just stood there for a second, as if I was in a daze. I snapped out of it and hurried after her. When I entered the room, I saw them in the middle of a tight embrace. Then Michael turned towards me. Medea, this is Claudia from work. She's my girlfriend. As he said that, he smiled wider than ever before and pulled her in for a kiss. This was unbearable to watch. I thought it was about time that the two of you met, since we've been dating for so long. But I don't understand, sir. My voice trembled, and my eyes flinched back and forth between the two of them. I know this is kind of sudden, but I'm sure that the two of you will get along just fine. Besides, we love each other. Anyway, we have to go for dinner now. See you later, and don't wait up.
As they left the apartment, I just stood there, completely speechless. What was going on? Why was he doing this to me? Had I done something wrong, or was he just playing hard to get? I waited all night long for him to come home, but he didn't come back until the morning after. This went on for almost 3 months, and I started to become a bit worried for our future together, even though I never doubted his love for me. And now I'm standing here by the window thinking of what just happened. Just a few hours ago, Michael sat down with me and told me something that changed everything. He told me that he was going to propose to Claudia later tonight. He even showed me the ring. My ring! It was the ring that he got from his grandmother. He had showed it to me a couple of years ago, and he told me that this was the ring that he was going to give to the woman of his dreams.
Down in the street, the two men were now trying to get Claudia inside of the car, but she fought back. One of them held her hands, while the other one kept her from screaming. Claudia was stronger than they expected, though, because she managed to get free of them. She ran a couple of feet before one of them threw himself at her. They both fell to the ground, but they continued the fight. As I watched his soon-to-be fiancé getting attacked, I felt a strange kind of numbness inside. The right thing to do would probably be to save her, but did she even deserve saving? She had caused so much pain for both Michael and I. And even if she were to disappear, it would probably be for the best.
The fight continued until one of the men suddenly pulled a gun. He pointed it directly at her, and she froze. I could hardly breathe. This was so exciting to watch. I wished for him to pull the trigger, because then she would finally leave Michael and I alone. It was a bittersweet joy though, because I knew that if I did not take action, my security system would kick in and shut down my system. But then again, if I can't help Michael, then no one can.